Yo, what it do, y'all? We're coming back at y'all once again. This is Fandom Frequency, where we get into the entire multiverse of pop culture, no matter what it is. We talk about it around these parts. So make sure you're clicking all those buttons below the video. Make sure you're spreading the news to all your homies, all your coworkers, significant others, mothers, brothers, sisters, and your dog and your pets. Let
And
them
our
know
dog
about the
pets.
channel. Make sure you're joining this awesome community today where we get into all the stuff we love. We get down in the comment section, talk about all the stuff. When we do our rankings, people give out their lists and everything. It's good vibes around here all the time. So make sure you're checking it out. And we got a big one for you to get today, guys. We got two big old ones in the world of comic books, man. And that's right. It's the Fandom Frequency Show, episode 29. We're talking about The Flash. We're talking about Secret Invasion. We got some big ass news to talk about today between those two. A lot of hype going into The Flash and quite a bit of anticipation for certain people going into Secret Invasion. A lot of people that know the comic books had a lot of high expectations for this as one of the most well-received modern comic book kind of crossover stories, if you will. And same thing with The Flash being adapted from the Flashpoint storyline. In my opinion, the best Flash comic book storyline ever written and one of the best DC animated films. If you haven't seen that, you need to check that out as well. But that's what we're doing today, guys. Those are going to be the main topics of the show. I'm Will. That's Skip. It's time to get into it. We got a little small topic of what's the word. Not
Okay.
necessarily a full segment, but there is some news been coming out. For those that don't know, there has been a writer's strike a writer's strike going on with the Writers Guild of America. So no new scripts are being written. Lots of stuff is getting delayed. And the MCU and DC and a lot of other studios are definitely falling victim to that. But the MCU, most importantly, because Daredevil Born Again has been put on hold. Blade, once again, has been put on hold. Deadpool
Oh,
3
damn.
has been
Yeah.
temporarily put on hold. Agatha, Covenant of Chaos has been put on hold.
Oh, that's fine.
Wonder Man, I believe, has also been put on hold. So all those projects are ceasing production right now due to the writer strike. Actor strike could be potentially down around the corner with SAG, Screen Actors Guild of America, and they might be doing a strike as well. And if that's the case, no actor anywhere can work on anything. So that means no scripts are getting written, no films are getting shot, no actors are on set. Hollywood is about to get turned upside down, and the MCU is falling victim to that as well because the
Yeah.
release dates have been shuffling all around. We got
Which
Deadpool 3 moving up to May of next year, so we're getting that in under a year. Fuck yeah, baby.
that's what's up. Okay.
Wolverine's back up in action. We're getting it all. No
Okay.
Domino in Deadpool 3, though. That is a negative. What the fuck's going on? Bullshit. Loves Domino. What the hell? It's Zazie Beetz, man. Come on. What's going on
Yeah.
here?
Yeah. But
I need to
they
have a
got the.
word. I need to have a word with Ryan Reynolds. Something's
I
going
mean, they
on.
got the best duo already. They got Wolverine, Deadpool.
Come on, man. I wanted to see Deadpool, Domino, Deadpool. I wanted that. We never get to see it. God damn it. I can't wait until the MCU does it.
it's
My
like
heart hurts. But
eventually.
shit has been getting turned upside down. But that also leads to other important news. Universal, they ain't going to Hall H, baby. They pulling out. No Comic-Con for them. Marvel Studios, no Comic-Con Hall H panel for them. Canceled, son. Not
Oh,
doing that
damn.
either.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, with the writer strike going on around the corner, they can't even appear for that. I mean, with the actors strike that could potentially pop up by next Friday, potentially this Friday, depending on when I heard that news. So by next week, this time,
Right.
there could be two strikes going on. No films or TV shows getting written or being worked on at all. That means essentially, if both those strikes go down and are going on for a few months, everything next year is getting pushed back. It's like freaking pandemonium all over again, bro.
Jesus. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's a huge thing, right?
But what do you
Like,
think? Do you think the MCU's pulling out because of that, but also because of the Jonathan Majors controversy?
uh,
Controversy?
I think because the MCU right now is kind of like in that weird state.
It's in a
for
limbo
sure.
state, kind of in a way.
It is definitely in a limbo state. It's kind of like they're doing it for both reasons. I feel
Yeah,
like
I feel the same way.
they kind of are in that pinch with
Yeah, 'cause it's
everything
not
going
their
on with
fault.
the Writers Guild, right? It's like it's not something that they have control over. I mean, with that news of like with the Writers Guild going on strike because of the AI and all that other stuff, right?
Yeah, that's a big part of it.
That's a huge thing, and like we talked a little bit off camera with
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be in one of the topics we're going to talk to today
Oh yeah,
with
right.
the Secret Invasion with the AI generated intro with the art.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like I didn't like it for like the two reasons. One, it looked really fucking ugly, and two, like
Yeah.
it's taking away like job opportunities for art, like artists to be able to work on that project. And I mean, you're taking away job like occupations overall. So I feel like it's something that it should be done with like the whole the Writers Guild, and if it's true now, because right now I'm even pulling that off to the side with the Hollywood actor strike, and yeah, I mean it's you gotta have to we people have to stand their ground somewhere. Like it's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
a messed up thing that with the whole AI thing being kind of being in the mix of like being potentially getting rid of like hundreds of jobs, and then kind of like
Yep.
dealing with like having a huge impact with Hollywood overall. I mean, you have to stand behind like that whole opposition to it. So I don't mind it. Like I get like why the MCU's doing it. Also with Jonathan Majors on that part, there's like a whole lot of
Ooh.
stuff, like a whole lot of can of worms that they're dealing with that, and they can easily like if they do a lot of the allegations do go through and they have to do replace Jonathan Majors, they can easily do it. Thank God, because we are in the multiverse. Like they could easily have a
Right.
variation to replace them. I think that's like the one positive when it comes if a replacement does come about. But yeah, I think they're a little bit on like on stepping back a bit, which I don't mind it. Maybe it'll give them some time to have more of a better visionary of what they want to do for Phase 5 and 6 and how they want to tell the story. This moving forward with the rest of the multiverse saga. So I think it's they're doing it for their reasons and stuff. But how do you feel with the whole I think limbo things are going
Yeah,
on?
I think it's definitely because as we discussed on the channel before and everything like that, I enjoyed most of Phase 4. I don't think Phase 4 was like this train wreck like some people make it out to be. I definitely think it's the most inconsistent phase since Phase 2. So it's been a while. It's been about almost a decade now since I feel like the MCU's been that inconsistent. Really, a decade if you want to look at where Phase 2 kicked off with Iron Man 3 and Thor: The Dark World back to back. Two of arguably the worst MCU films ever made. Only one thing outside of that phase has ever really been considered to be in that ballpark. That being Captain Marvel for some people, me being one of them. I would definitely put that in the lower rung of the MCU, which some people seem to forget was during the big peak time of Phase 3. So, I mean, to me, the MCU has always had some kind of inconsistency to it, but much less so. And I also feel like the synergy of the tie-ins of how everything works together with the TVA, the multiverse, variants, magic, incursions, Scarlet Witch. Where does she tie in? Is she around? Is she coming back? Mutants. How is that going to factor into things? Secret Wars. How's that going to lead there? And we got this whole Jonathan Majors controversy with him and everything going on with the allegations and him being on trial and losing his management and potentially being recast and that being a whole big to do. Loki season 2 right around the corner a few months from now. He's a big part of that. Are they going to have to
Yep.
recast or cut him out of that film, out of that show? That's another big element to it. So it's a lot of a lot of moving parts to the overall machine that is the MCU. But I definitely feel like there's a lot of room, a lot of potential for them to grow, get things back on a consistent basis with the overall canon and the overall quality of the stuff. We got Deadpool 3 around the corner, Daredevil Born Again. You got the two Avengers films coming down the line, Thunderbolts, Blade, potentially. You got a lot of great stuff that's to come. We haven't even touched on Mutants yet. Fantastic Four is coming down the pike as well. There's a lot of greatness that can come out of the MCU in the near future, but we definitely got to be patient and wait for it to come through. Luckily, they moved up the Deadpool 3 release date to May of 2024. Can't remember the exact day at the moment, but it's moved up, so we're getting that in less than a year. A lot of the other dates got shuffled around. We're not getting Avengers Kang Dynasty till 2026. We're not getting Secret Wars till 2027. So it's going to be a minute, just under a decade after Infinity War, which to me feels like a lot better replacement for Secret Wars to be going down. So I'm actually kind of happy those got pushed back. I think that gives them
Yeah.
more time to really lock that in, really lead to that in a way that feels satisfying and really builds up the hype in the right way, but also gives time to let things breathe and let Phase 5 really come to a strong finish and kick off Phase 6 in the right way. So I think all the release date shuffling and everything was, I think, due to the strikes and everything like that, and some of the controversies going on with Jonathan Majors regardless of that. But I think all of that's going to work to the MCU's benefit. MCU dodging out of Comic-Con, I think, is both the controversy more so and also the writer's potential strike. That's still going to be compounding with a potential Screen Actors Guild strike. So the actors could be going on strike, so none of them can even make appearances for the convention halls. So what's the point of even going? So I think they're actually bracing themselves for that, because that more than likely is going to be going on within a week of y'all watching this. This is going to be up on the channel before the weekend here, right here near the end of June. So by the time that strike goes down or doesn't go down and the definitive decision is made, you'll already know. So it's going to be pretty crazy to see where the MCU's at. But like I said, definitely in a little bit of a limbo state. I think there's definitely room for improvement. But I think Phase 5 is not off to the worst start ever. Ant-Man was a little disappointing for me, but Guardians Volume 3 was amazing. Secret Invasion off to a solid start that we will get into in one of the main portions of the show. So to me, I think we got a lot of room to grow. I think there's nowhere to go but up. But, definitely everyone isn't seeing it that way. But hopefully things work out for the best, and we get a lot of these things sooner rather than later, except Avengers. Please take your time. But other than that, man, I'm just going to, play it by ear, wait and see what we see, and keep an open mind about it, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just thought that was all a lot of interesting news and kind of things going on, kind of relatively related to this film right here. And also some quick DC news we'll get into just real quick. James Gunn recently said in an interview that Blue Beetle is the first DCEU character officially in their universe, and not sure if the film counts towards the canon, but the character does, of Jaime Reyes, played by Jolo Maridueña, who plays Miguel over there on Cobra Kai. So for all that going on, that's a little bit of DC news we can drop in the bucket there. That, to me, is very interesting and makes Blue Beetle seem more worth it to go see it. You know what I mean? Makes it more like, oh, shit, I really got to see that. See how they're going to set this character up. So that, to me, only should bode well for it, I hope.
Oh, yeah, I see it. It is confirmation is part of James Gunn's DCU, and it is going to have a trilogy of movies. So, so they're kind of...
They got big plans. They got big plans.
So, so...
And the trailers look solid. They look fun. I will admit they don't look like anything, excellent or extraordinary, but they look fun. Looks good. So, we'll see where it goes, but I'm definitely rooting for him. Big fan of Jolo Maridueña. Really like that guy. Really great up-and-coming actor in his own right. Very humble from what I can tell. So I'm definitely rooting for the kid. Definitely rooting for the guy. But let us know what you guys think about all this DC Marvel news going on. I figure we got the DC Marvel show kind of going on right now. So why not double down on it just a little bit more? Let us know what you guys think about it down in that comment section. I would love to hear about it. Hop on over on the social medias. We got all that stuff linked down below if you want to hit us up over there. Let us know what you're thinking about it. A lot of craziness going on. But I'm going to leave the next part of the show up to you to lead the way. What are we doing, man? We're going to do The Flash. We're going to do Secret Invasion. What do you want to talk about first?
Let's do the Secret Invasion, because honestly, for me,
got
The Flash, I'm still gonna pick up a little bit as I go, because it's been a couple of days.
All right.
And Secret Invasion is already here, so
a little fresh in the brain.
We've been talking about the MCU a little bit in the beginning.
Exactly.
So.
A little bit off camera. We were talking about the MCU right now. Getting y'all a little bit of that update, all the shakeups, but this wasn't shaken up, and it wasn't stirred either. Because we got a good old spy thriller right here. No James Bond, y'all. Secret Invasion, Episode 1, the premiere. We got a mini-series on our hands. 6 episodes. Going to be dropping every Wednesday over there on that Disney Plus. Tuesday for midnight for all of you folks that ain't working overnight shifts. And for those of you that don't have to get up early. Check that shit out. Turn that shit up.
Let's see what's
all right. So, we're going to kick off with you, man. Overall thoughts. What are you thinking about the Secret Invasion premiere? Let the people know.
I would say I enjoyed it. I mean, there has been some stuff that I had my nitpicks with. Obviously, one of them was with we talked about a little bit earlier, was the AI generated intro.
Yes, with the Marvel opening, ugly.
It looks so weird. I remember when I was even watching TV, I was like, "What the fuck is this?
Am I watching the right thing?"
I'm like, is something wrong with my TV? I legit, there was it was so weird, because I was like, Actually, there was like at one point I did have to reboot like the TV because it did the colors was off. But I'm like, all right, it's probably because of that. When I rebooted it and the intro went off, I was like, what the fuck is this? This is like the one of the ugliest things intros I've seen.
For
But
real.
it it was that was one of the nitpicks. Don't do that ever again in the, like other projects coming up. Axe that
Don't
out.
do that
No, it's
again.
hot garbage. Hot garbage.
Garbage.
It
Shit
fu-
looks trash, son.
straight up like there was like a
Ugh.
picture of Nick Fury on there. I was like, dude, they're doing him dirty, making him
I
looking that
know
bad.
who drew this shit.
I'm like,
Sam L's gonna come find your ass, man.
he's underwater in that fucking computer or some shit. He's gonna be like, man, get rid of that shit, dude. We don't want that any of that crap here. But I
I
think
don't
that
remember asking you to draw me a goddamn thing.
yeah, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
I think with that was one of the nitpicks. There was another one. I would say just like throughout the episode, like it kind of like I forgot what kind of theme it was, so it kind of like I was kind of like I was like pulling away from the show. Then it kind of caught me back up, like
Just kind
something
of due to
happened
the
to pull me
pacing
in.
of it being more of like a spy espionage type of,
Yeah, like
thriller,
with
if you will.
it within that, and I'm like, oh wait, it's supposed to be like that. Like it's supposed to be
Yeah.
like not because like in the past of the MCU, there's always been like something going on the screen. It's like
Yeah.
always in
Big
your
bang
face.
boom. Tony Stark. Bam. Let's go.
Yeah, it's like flashing lights, like a big roller coaster of like of an amusement of a show or a movie, and it kind of like I had to remind myself like, oh, I'm like, oh, like towards the end, I'm like, oh wait, it's supposed to be like this. Like, I I get why, like, I get why it's kind of like that's like the slow startup a little bit, and I think there was like a lot of critiques of it being like that kind of slow, and it's like I
Right.
get it. Like, there's some people who are not into it, but like thrashing it like to the ground, I feel like it's like unjustified because like it's still pretty like it's not a bad like thing is the dialogue is so bad like
Yeah, for
it
real, man. I
like
don't know what these people are talking about.
it's like unbearable to watch because like we had like other shows. We had She-Hulk for one of them.
Hmm.
I thrash She-Hulk so fucking
Ooh,
much,
man.
but
This
She-Hulk for
guy,
sure is
his
one of them.
arch nemesis is She-Hulk, the TV series.
Yeah,
She-Hulk
fuck that
Attorney at
show.
Law
Fuck
versus
that
Skippy.
show, dude. But yeah, there's my thoughts with that She-Hulk, and there's also like what if people want to really go into dialogue to like Game of Thrones and like the later seasons. Their dialogue was pretty
Oh
like
yeah,
it
I'm
dropped in
getting there. I'm
quality
almost done with
overall,
season 6, bro. I'm
dude.
getting there.
And like you'll see in the line, like I was saying the last 2 seasons, you'll definitely see it. But the dialogue here isn't that bad for Secret Invasion.
Nah.
it is doing what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to have everybody on edge, kind of guessing who is who, and that's the whole point of the Secret Invasion kind of comic book. And people are also complaining about like it's not comic book like it's not going off the comic book material, which they kind of can't really, if I could remember, because there's like a lot of
None of the
characters there that they're
movies
missing.
do.
And plus, yeah, on top of that, none of the movies really has been following that. I mean, if they're gonna criticize that, then they need to criticize heavily onto Infinity War and Endgame, which there has been some critiques of Adam Warlock not being part of the Infinity War, but
Yeah, but
they still praise like a lot of the masses are still praising it, like, oh, it's a good movie, like
exactly.
they still executed right. So I feel like with the
Exactly. And they got
critiques
to
of
execute what's right for their universe they built in the films. This is
yeah,
not Secret Invasion to the comics. This is
yeah,
Secret Invasion to the MCU that's built up for the last 14 or how many years is it now? Yeah,
for
15 years, man. Holy shit.
oh, for the MCU
Yeah.
as an overall,
God
it's alright around
damn.
there, I would say. But like, yeah, it would be. It's pretty much like the critique for that. I would just like take that with a grain of salt because it's something that the MCU has not really been following too much throughout the years. But as an overall story, like with how it's being told, I do enjoy like that whole guessing game and stuff, and how the ending kind of went about. It kind of makes me want to get more invested with a little bit more moving forward with episode 2 through 6 and how they're going to execute the storytelling as well. Because like for all we know, like maybe Nick Fury doesn't really win at the end. Maybe it was too much
Mm-hmm.
for him to handle, and this is starting to become more of an Avenger level threat for him to call upon like the old recruitments probably back in the out of retirement, or try to get like whoever he can together to take on this threat. We don't really know until we watch more of it, but that's kind of my thing with it. It's kind of, the storyline is interesting. It's a like on that average scale for sure.
Right.
I am taking it like one episode at a time, because in the
Yeah.
past show, like in the past MCU shows, there's always usually like there'll be a strong, like kind of a strong start, and then it kind of goes downhill. I'm kind of hoping that it kind of does the opposite this time. I'm hoping that it goes upwards,
Yeah.
and I'm really rooting for that. I feel like I kind of like this kind of like this whole like sinister play of the scrolls, and how you Nick Fury can't really trust anybody, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
Nick Fury or even Talos, like you can't really trust anybody they come across, because they can be the opposing faction or scrolls. You just don't know. But I think that's pretty much where I'm at. I think the other nitpick that I do have is like it was like it was in the beginning. It was when with the chase scene with what was his name?
Um.
Ross, with Ross.
Yeah.
It was
Everett Ross.
with Ross and like Talos, and technically, like when they were like running up the stairs, I felt like Talos could have caught him. Like he was not that far behind from
For
Ross.
real.
Like
I was like, catch up to him. Come on, man.
I liked the setup. I liked how they had that whole light
Yeah.
setup, but like
Super creative shot. Yeah.
like increase the distance just a little bit, like make it
Mm-hmm.
kind of more
Make him
believable.
2 windows up, and then, you know what I mean? Because I'm like, dang, he's right there,
Yeah,
bro.
I'm like, dude, it's like you're playing tag, and then like Ross is saying like, "Yo, time's out. Like, don't tag me, don't tag me." I'm like, dude, he's like arm's length. He can just
I
grab
know,
him,
for
yank
real.
him
I'm like,
back, and that's it.
even
That
with
was
my
like,
short ass arms, I'm like, come on, bro.
yeah, it's like he wasn't that far, but I thought that was like the funny nitpick for me. But I would say everything overall, I'm pretty excited moving forward with this show, and I can't wait for next week for next week's episode, for
Me
episode
too,
2.
man. I'm really curious to see where this goes because I thoroughly enjoyed this premiere episode, man. I thought it was really good. It was nice getting to get reacquainted with our boy Nick Fury. You know what I mean? Getting
Yeah.
to see Samuel Jackson really get to lead something in the MCU and really have it be not all about him, but have him be a really primary focus and be kind of our protagonist to lead us through this journey. I really enjoyed it. I'm a huge Samuel Jackson fan. Probably couldn't safely say he is my favorite actor of all time. So
Hmm.
I love
Hmm.
the guy, always have, always will. The man always kills it, no matter how great or how bad the movie is or where it falls in between. He's always giving it 130%. Does no differently here. But I also love the new kind of old man Logan shades that he adds to the character and kind of brings out something new and fresh for Nick Fury this many years into it, 14, 15 years into the MCU, still finding new angles and perspectives to play the character in, and for the characters to be able, I mean, for us, the audience, to be able to relate to this character and grow with this character. And the story just reflects that. And him dealing with all his kind of PTSD and regret and kind of the grief of going through the blip, and how that kind of changed him fundamentally as a man, as a spy, as an agent, and everything like that, to me was so damn interesting. And I like how this is somewhat of a character study. We're kind of really diving into Nick Fury a little bit, really getting a sense of where he is psychologically and emotionally a little bit, without getting sappy, without getting too deep into it and making the show too slow. I like that they kind of give you some shades through conversation and the way that Maria Hill looks at him differently now than she used to, because as you know, she was always right there to follow all his orders, and they were very, very close, and she fully had faith in him that he, knew the right decisions to make and could, get the job done.
Hmm.
Nowadays, that doesn't really seem to be the case with anybody that's really getting in contact with Fury. So to me, him aging and kind of having to deal with not being in the loop anymore, and to me, super duper interesting. I also love the fact that after we find out that that Everett Ross person was just an imposter scroll, not the real Everett Ross, and we figure out also that Nick Fury is actually one of the targets of this, and they're actually trying to blame and frame him specifically for a lot of the issues and promises that weren't kept, and he actually has a personal tie with those scrolls and with those rebellion group and with that evil faction, if you will, I think is super cool and is a great idea to really tie everything together because he has been working closely with the Skrulls throughout throughout the end of phase 3 into the beginning of phase 5. So I do like how they seem to be following through on his storyline and really keeping that as a part of something that's been going on in the background with Saber and everything like that. That was originally called Sword, which I wish they would have kept the name Sword, but Saber works too. And that should be tying into the Marvels because Nick Fury does appear in those trailers, so we know he is going to interact with them in some capacity, especially Monica Rambeau, because we've seen her at the end of WandaVision go into that theater and talk to a Skrull directly about working with Fury. So we do kind of see how some of these loose ends are kind of come together. Just depends on the full execution of it once we everything comes to a head. But really enjoyed this episode. One thing I also want to highlight too, I do really love everything Ben Mendelsohn's doing as Talos, the nice Skrull that works really closely with Fury. I love that actor, and he is just doing a phenomenal job with this character, breathing so much more life into it and making it so much more interesting to me than he was in the previous films and everything like that, and cutting back on the silliness of that character that kind of had in the previous appearances. I like how they dialed that back a little bit. He's a little more serious. He's trying to deal with the loss of his wife, dealing with how his daughter's on opposite sides of him, and everything like that with the character played by Emilia Clarke. Which, speaking of Game of Thrones, awesome to see the Mother of Dragons up in this bitch. My personal favorite Game of Thrones character. Love to see Emilia Clarke finally getting a cool role to do in something because I feel like they've been wasting her immensely so since the Game of Thrones wrapped up. Man, couldn't even get her over as Sarah Connor. You're really fucking up, Hollywood. So really nice to see Emilia Clarke doing something cool. She was in Solo. I didn't mind her in the movie, but they didn't give her much to do. So I just felt like there was just a lot of wasted potential with Emilia Clarke over the years. So really awesome to see her getting a character that's a little bit more complex, something that she could really sink her teeth into, hopefully. And I'm really intrigued to see where that character goes from here. And, in her chemistry with Ben Mendelsohn, I really feel like you buy the relationship of them as father and daughter and the impact of the news that she hears about losing her mom and everything and how the people that she's working with are responsible for it. Love how that all comes around full circle in a real organic way, as we were talking about off camera, how sometimes in Hollywood, or I would just say in entertainment these days, especially in film and TV, they're leaning really hard on the gray area, anti-hero type of trope, maybe a little too often these days, maybe a little unnecessarily, but this is where it really comes around full circle in an organic way that makes sense. Spy thrillers do tend to blend in that kind of gray area. So for this one, does really seem to fit the vibe. And I wouldn't call this Winter Soldier vibes or anything like that. I wouldn't even say this as Andor vibes, but it does have the Andor feel for being more mature and serious for the MCU. So I definitely appreciate that overall. Like the whole way that they're, keeping you on your toes. You're not really sure who to trust, who not to. And then with the whole thing at the end with that Skrull shooting Maria Hill, posing as Nick Fury, that had me throw me for a loop. I thought that was like legit him. I was like, oh shit, hey, it's him. And then he shot her. I was like, wait, what? I was no way. This is a Skrull? What? I was like, this is crazy right now. Because at first I had no clue that was a Skrull pretending to be him until he shot her. And I was like, no, that's good stuff, MCU. Like, I knew these fuckers were running around posing and changing up people left and right in that one scene, how he keeps changing from woman to man, to tall person to skinny person to old person. I love the way that character was doing that. And that actor is actually a really good actor. I can't remember his name, but I seen him in a movie playing Malcolm X, and that was a really, really good film. But anyways, I digress. Like all the stuff going on there, man, and it's going to be interesting to see kind of where everything falls out. Hopefully it's a little better than the Flag Smasher storyline from Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they can flesh it out a little bit and have that have a little more of an impact or reason for being included in the story. But overall, I really enjoyed this episode, man. Nothing to write home about in the sense that it blew me away or is switching it up for the genre or anything like that, but it's a damn good episode to a TV series. Really good premiere, and sometimes those pilot episodes can be a little rough to get through, so I do want to give them props on that one for sure.
Oh, yeah. No doubt. Honestly, though, with Maria Hill dying, it did shock me, but it wasn't like it. For me, honestly, even though she was like there in phase 1, I didn't really care that she died. I was like, oh shit, she died. Damn.
Yeah, I was where I was at too.
Anyway, yeah, I was like, all right,
exactly.
well, anyway, like she.
Well, anyways, is my boy Fury good?
Yeah, like because like it is a heart wrenching thing for like Nick Fury. Don't get me wrong, and she was there for but her character wasn't as like I feel like it wasn't like
As
so
interesting.
outstanding, interesting, anything like that. She was just there with Nick Fury just throughout the time, and that was mainly it. And that's why I would just like kind of not kind of whatever about the whole deal. I still like the whole shocking factor, whatever, but you know, it's not I think on the internet they're kind of going a little too crazy over her death. I feel like.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. People were like, "Oh my God, she's dead!" Like it was like it's that shock factor. But they were like kind of like on a like she was like one of the best characters ever and all that stuff. I was like, she's kind of all right. She was just like I said, she was just there like on the passenger seat or just there on the side, kind of. She was just there having a beer like one time, like really in the Age of Ultron, like way back when, like back at Phase 2 and all that. But it wasn't like that
She was
insane.
never integral to the storyline because even one
Yeah.
of the storylines they actually did do, Civil War, she had nothing to do with it. So, and she was a big part of that in the comics, very, very big part of that, very big antagonist in that storyline. So, very interesting to see how they've kind of underutilized that character so much over the years, where
Hmm.
she was always like a huge standout in things like How I Met Your Mother and things like that. So, a little bit
Yeah.
of a bummer and kind of a weird choice that they would kind of go that route with her, but who knows why, man? Who knows why we weren't on set? So
Yeah, I feel like I think with this show, if Maria Hill didn't die, I feel like the whole storyline would have been like, oh, it will be kind of like that Kang issue, right? Like with Kang, what you may call it, not really being that huge threat of an issue. They kind of need to have the skulls taken out like a big character like that and stuff, for them to really show the importance of like how huge this whole event's gonna be for Nick Fury to overcome and stuff like that.
yep, because he's got a tall order ahead, man. Tall order ahead. They seem to be a step ahead of him every step of the way, which is definitely out of character for Nick Fury, man. But yep, absolutely dug the episode. 1 out of 10, my man. What you gonna give this premiere?
It's gonna be a 7 for sure.
All
A
right,
7. I'll
I'm
give
gonna
it a
be just a
7.
little bit higher than you and go a 7.5.
Okay, okay. That's what's
7.5, man. I really enjoyed this. Love the character study and things going on with Nick Fury. Love how he's at the forefront. Love everything going on with Ben Mendelsohn's Talos. Love everything going on with Emilia Clarke's character as well. I'm very much intrigued in this. Can't wait to see where it goes. There's more MCU cameos that could be going down the line. There's more ways that they could tie this in to the overall tapestry of what's going on in Phase 5. So can't wait to see where they take it from here. Make sure you're dropping your thoughts down below about this episode, y'all. We want to get into a discussion with you. No matter how controversial it is out there in the landscape, it's always a safe place to talk about pop culture topics right here on Fandom Frequency. So make sure you're dropping your thoughts down below about Secret Invasion. We really appreciate you taking your time out of your day to check out this particular review. And, click all the buttons below the video. And this is a part of our larger episode as well of the Fandom Frequency Show, where we talk about multiple topics, pop culture news, shoot the shit a little bit. I might even prank call the pizza place, No, I'm just playing. But we do a lot of different stuff on the show. We talk about a lot of different topics, so don't miss any of it. Stay tuned. Don't sleep. We'll catch you on the next one. Much more content like this, long form, short form. Don't miss it.
all right. On.
As we continue here with the long form show, that was for the clip out, of course.
Oh
Now
yeah.
it is time for the main event, the headliner. Some touted it as the greatest comic book movie of all time. They need to start sharing what they're smoking. I'm talking about The Flash, baby. Can you smell what The Flash is cooking? It ain't cooking nothing, man. It bombed at the box office, and I was playing. We'll get into that later.
It's
But-
getting roasted.
No, I know. I'm just fucking around. But
It's
The Flash, it's here. It's been in the works since 2014, maybe even longer than that. It has been in freaking development hell for decades. Fans all around the world have been wanting The Flash on the big screen for a long time. Ezra Miller's version has been announced since 2015, 2016. It's been for fucking ever. It's been through multiple scripts, multiple writers, multiple directors. This thing has been through hell and high water and through the Speed Force itself. It came out on the other side with this film that we got right here. The return of Michael Keaton's Batman. If you want to get nuts, let's get nuts and drop some thoughts down in that comment section below, guys. We're talking about the motherfucking Flash today. Sasha Calle, Supergirl, the swan song to the DCEU as we know it. A lot of hype was going into this, man. Tom Cruise was telling people to go see it. Stephen King was getting away from his horror books long enough to tell you to go see it. People were touting it as the best comic book film ever since The Dark Knight.
ooh. Okay.
What about you, my man? What do you think? Is this the greatest comic book movie since The Dark Knight? Where does it fall for you? Overall thoughts.
Wait, since the
Hit
Dark
me.
Knight? That's
Yeah,
what they've
that's
been
what people are
saying.
saying. Yes,
Nah, I would. That's like that's far reach. I mean,
I
don't get me
agree.
wrong. It's okay. That's where it's at. I feel like I don't know what the hell the other people are smoking, saying it's like the greatest of all time. It's like the best
It's
since
Twitter, man.
the
They
Dark
just get
Knight.
excited every time they see something early. It's the greatest thing ever. They
It's
said that about
yeah.
BVS too, and look what
Oh my
that happened
god.
when that came out.
Oh Jesus.
Although I enjoyed the film, look at the reception when it actually hit theaters.
Yeah, yeah. I would say it's an okay flick. It has its good moments and had its bad moments for sure. The story itself, I thought it was pretty good just throughout the time frame. I mean, it has a basic premise of, uh, it pretty much has the premise of Barry Allen pretty much just kind of doing his own day to day, trying to fix the system of trying to from the inside out. Can't
Yep.
do that. Like how you, I liked how they had that approach, had that whole kind of like regret of like with his mom dying and stuff like that, of him not really calling 911 or getting any help, kind of pinning his dad in that awkward situation, which leads
Mm-hmm.
to his dad to being locked pretty much for life at this point.
Yep. Wrongfully
And
prosecuted.
yeah, wrongfully prosecuted as so. And that's like a whole other thing of him feeling that guilt, and he decides, you know what, I can go back in time. I had this little incident like mistakenly, and I want to go back and kind of fix my wrongdoings, but it ended up being
And
the wrong
then
thing.
go back to the future
And they
afterwards.
go Back to the Future, Back to the Future Part 5. I'm just kidding.
Oh no!
Oh no,
Don't
no,
do that to me, man.
no. But it had that premise of him going back in time, trying to fix of that what if scenario, and
The
it has a bunch of
Flashpoint, baby.
repercussions.
Flashpoint
Yeah, yeah,
paradox.
and it has that, and I like that setup, and I didn't mind it. There's some nitpicks that I had with it. But it was an okay flick. It was cool to see a lot of the cameos. I know for sure. I know a lot of people liked Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. He's a huge thing that a
Hell
lot of
yeah.
people were like pretty pumped off the trailers alone. Saying Michael Keaton's Batman, oh my god, I can't wait to fucking see it. And they were pretty praising about that. And that was something that a lot of people were anticipating for. And I like to do like throughout this upcoming throughout the movie, you see more cameos with George Clooney and everything popping out towards the end. That
Yep.
was another Batman reference popping up, and I'm like, all right. I'm like, they're
Yeah,
doing
he had even more cameos than that, but I wouldn't
yeah.
necessarily say they looked fantastic.
And he had and a big chunk of them, and that's another nitpick of it for me was the CGI from my point of view, which
Dude, that's a nitpick for every person that watches this movie, especially the Speed Force stuff with Barry Allen. Looks terrible.
it looked really funky. It didn't look good. People bash on the MCU for their CGI. They're not as bad as that. Like that is like,
She was like
my God,
Scorpion King.
that was legit Scorpion King with Dwayne Johnson coming out with him looking all
Not
fucking
even that.
weird.
Mummy 2 Scorpion King before the movie Scorpion King, bro. That's how bad it looked.
Oh, yeah, like wasn't Dwayne Johnson in like that
Yeah,
one
like
kind of
the
acting all weird,
fucking
a weird fucking
spider
scorpion,
Scorpion thing, yeah.
scorpion little fucking
Terrible.
thing. Like that
Ugh.
was like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Is was that bad? And that's why I was like, there's that nitpick for me.
A whole
There
thing
was,
with him running around.
and him running, dude. Like when
Oh
he
my god, it
ran,
looked like PS2 graphics. He's like running on air. He's just sliding and
that
gliding.
he he looked weird doing that, and
It's like
just like
Hanna-Barbera animation, dude.
and him actually running, like him physically running, I'm like, what the fuck is he running like that? He runs like somebody who's lays asleep and decided to try running for that second.
Yeah, what's with
It-
the fucking fingers and shit?
yeah, I'm just like, dude, there is like that's just too extra. It just looks weird. Just running normal.
Exactly. Just
That's
run, dude.
That's all it is.
Just look
I
like
don't know.
Tom Cruise and shit.
Yeah, and it's something simple, bro. Like, not don't make anything crazy.
Nah, bro.
But
Next time you see me running, bro.
I feel like that's gonna be like the biggest meme. Like if I seen that in junior high, I would be definitely memeing on that. But like, hold on, guys, I'm gonna break the fucking my world record here, and to be doing all that whole dumbass setup. But
I'm gonna try out for track.
try out for track that way. It was just so. I think that would be one of the nitpicks. I think another one too. I feel like some people may not like how like Michael Keaton, how he ended up going about towards his how his end
How we got
character
taken
arc,
out.
how he got taken out. He was pretty much like smashed like a bug, and then like the guy
More
who
like
he
Bugman, bro.
yeah, that's all it was. Splash Man, dude. Splot Man. That's all
Yeah.
it is. And the guy, like, he sacrificed his life for. He kind of shrugged it off. I was like, I mean, they could have done a little bit better with that guy, with Michael Keaton's death as
Yeah, I
Batman.
will
But
admit they did do my boy Keaton a little dirty with that ending, man. I loved everything with him leading up to it, with the whole fight with him and Barry in the kitchen when they really run into each other at his place, and then the whole sequence with him actually finally kicking ass in the bat suit was fucking awesome. Because back in the day, he had this freaking crazy ass bulky suit where he had to punch people like this and shit. So it was so cool to see Michael Keaton Batman with obviously a little help with the CG that actually looked good, kicking some ass and really taking some names and jumping around ninja style, man. Really getting to see him go full Arkham Knight on these motherfuckers. So I was loving that. That was a lot of fun, man. I'm with you on that CG, dude. Him running in that freaking Speed Force bubble, going back in time, looked
it looks
like
weird.
garbage,
It
bro.
just
The
looks
DC
fucking
animated
weird.
film looks 30 times better, and
Yeah,
it's like a decade old. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
I don't. Yeah, see, that's like the one thing. And they're here, like, okay, if we're talking about CG, let's go like backtrack to the beginning of the film when with Barry with the Flash. I don't want to see Barry with the Flash being kind of going off and doing its like whole like superhero stuff and everything like that, and kind of pretty much trying to save everybody in that hospital. The baby's CGI looked so fucking.
Oh,
It was
for real, bro.
bad. I was like, dude, what the fuck is this, dude? I'm like, you just seen like the babies. I'm like, I get it. They can't use real fucking babies, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I understand that, but they could have had like people. They couldn't. They didn't even have babies. They could have just had like regular like adult
I
sized
know,
humans, but they
dude.
had to
I
pick
don't,
babies, and it looked
bro.
super bad. I'm
They
like,
had an
dude.
extra year to two to fucking finish this movie. How do you not have better CGI than this, dude? This is some of the worst CGI I've seen in a movie in at least 10 to 20 years, bro. Like, how?
I don't know.
How?
I don't know. It's just. I feel like this
I'm not counting
CG.
low budget movies like Sci-Fi Channel. I'm not counting that, but
Oh yeah,
like, jeez, dude.
like
Like,
high budget kind of thing. That's
anything with a
something that
$10 million budget plus, this is
mhm.
embarrassing, bro. Come on.
I don't know. Like that's why with I don't know. It's just kind of like that super glue. Like they kind of just like with the visual effects and all that. They just have CG, and they're just like we call it a day. And it's like the lowest budget. It kind of looked wonky as shit. Not has been overdone, like redone to the point where it looks perfected to for it to fit the scene. Like,
It was
dude,
almost as
it's
bad as Mortal Kombat Annihilation, bro.
oh my god, dude.
And those
Which
effects were
Mortal
legit
Kombat in
not finished.
general. My
Ugh.
god. Yeah,
Yuck.
that
But
was pretty
don't want to
horrible.
focus too much on the negative, because one thing I will say that I loved in this movie was, and I know it's going to be controversial to say, I did love Ezra Miller's performance as both versions of Barry. I got to say, they sold it. They
He
really
did,
made it work. He really bought that was two different versions of the same person from different times, man. And the whole
yeah.
arc of teaching the younger Barry to be more patient and to calm down and also learn the tools of the trade and,
Hmm.
become wiser, and kind of seeing the 28 to 30-year-old Barry really have to instill that wisdom into him and kind of see a reflection of himself in the ways that he's changed as a person and some of the negative elements that still are in him that come out to others in the way that he's not great with dealing with people and things like
Hmm.
that. I really enjoyed the character arc that they did take Barry on. I thought they did a great job with that character all the way through, pretty much. Some of the third act stuff with the evil version of Barry that's been running around trying to, fix the
Brief.
issue, whatever. I don't know. I thought that was a little bit generic. I thought it was also very much tacked on and not very well thought out. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's not fleshed out at all, and I feel like they did a better job of a similar storyline with an evil Barry on the Flash TV series back in seasons 2 or 3.
I think that
So
was
yeah,
also kind of weird too, for sure. And like, it was something that we kind of had a feeling it was gonna be something like that. The moment we start getting more introduced to him being more involved with going back in time, how he manipulates time, you kind of have a feeling like, oh, okay, so if the younger version of Barry is starting to get to that point, want to continue redoing the whole battle scene, it always ends in that
yeah,
certain scenario. I could see him kind of, keep on doing that for years on years, and then bam, there he is. He ends up being, that evil corruption of a I guess that Flash character or
Yeah,
whatever
it's
you
like
may
I
call him.
get it, but I
It
think they
was,
would have been better off just to have the classic Ebor Thawne Reverse Flash up in there, man. I think y'all are. I don't know. I got tacked on, man. I just feel like they didn't think that out fully, but I got what they were going for. But overall, wasn't really digging it. I think they could even had just the Death Flash, Red Death come in. I mean, could have just had the Black Flash come in. Essentially the Speed Force Grim Reaper come in. Like, oh, you're using the Speed Force too much. Come here, bitch.
yeah,
You're coming with me, bro.
and it's like I thought it was gonna be something like kind of related to that, not like being like because I thought it was like the way Barry was doing was. He was kind of manipulating time too much. I thought there was going to be somebody who would be opposing him, saying, "You know what? You can't do this. This is
And yep, that's
this
another thing
isn't."
from the TV series that they did so well. The Black Flash came and was trying to get Barry because he kept going back in time and changing shit and fucking with the timeline. That
Hmm.
even became like a negative of the show because they fuck with the timeline too much. But when Barry kept fucking with it, the Black Flash was there. He's like, "All right, I'm coming to get your ass, bro. You
Yeah.
fucking around too much." And he was going to get this other villain because he was like an entity that doesn't have like an allegiance. And there was Zoom, and then there was the Grant Gustin's Flash. Zoom was like the evil, like Reverse Flash, like the actual villain. Him and Zoom were going back and forth, and it was like a whole mystery of who Zoom really was. And then the the Black Flash, the Grim Reaper was coming after both of them because they both kept running through time, changing things and going to different timelines. So that to me would have been a much better way to do it. This thing is coming after Barry, and he's fucking up the timeline that he's in, and can cause a paradox. So you got that whole thing going on, and you don't have to turn Barry into some like generic, haha, he's really the villain. His own bad self is the thing, you know? It's like phase 1 of MCU or some shit. Evil version of the hero, you know what I mean? It's like, come on, man. Like,
It's like,
been there, done that since 2002 and shit, man. Get with the program, guys. Come on. Like,
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
movie before that was so much better than that. It really let me down in that regard. But other than that, I really love the character arcs with Michael Keaton's Batman. I really love the character arc with Barry Allen's The Flash. Love the dynamic with his parents and the family. I thought all that stuff, the dramatic side of things, really worked in that regard. Really liked his interactions with Iris West, played by Kiersey Clemons, who I think is another underrated up and coming actress. Man, really really good stuff. She was in films like Dope and some other things like that, so definitely check her out. That was directed by Rick Famuyiwa, who has been one of the main directors on The Mandalorian. So if you want to go see him go see his work before he got into the world of Star Wars, check that out. Dope from 2015. You also get to see Shamik Moore in that does the voice of Miles Morales, and Tony Revolori, who plays the current version of Flash Thompson in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies. So you get a bunch of Marvel shit all up in the same, in DC, up in that way before. So it's pretty cool how you get to see all these people doing all this nerdy stuff before they got into the game, doing the nerdy stuff. So yeah, so check that out, man. It's a little recommendation on the side for y'all. Dope from 2015. Gotta cover that on the channel one day. It's a really good movie. Fun, high school, adventure type movie. We don't get enough of those anymore. Really, really dug that movie. Really awesome film. But anyways, I digress. Getting back on target here. Stay on target. Stay on target.
This one thing,
Yeah. And I gotta say, those cameos, while the CG looks shitty, I love the characters that they chose to bring back in those cameos, man. Nick Cage as Superman. We never got to see that in live action. Freaking Christopher Reeve and his father George Reeve coming back. Helen, whatever the hell her name is, as Supergirl from the '80s movie, the shitty '80s Supergirl, finally back. That's crazy. Adam West Batman. You saw him running around.
Yeah.
But the one thing I wish they would have threw in there that they didn't. Where the hell's my boy Val Kilmer's Batman? Where the hell is my boy Brandon Routh as Superman from Superman Returns? Come on, man. Smallville? Come on. You left out some peoples.
I think, yeah,
Grant Gustin, hello.
yeah, I think it was just like they were just quick to like for the quick cameo because like it is like that small time frame and all that stuff. They could have easily added
Small
them in,
time
but
frame. They've been working on this movie for like 5 years.
yeah, but like I'm talking about within like their like that show whole appearance and all that. I don't know if like they were trying to make some cuts. Maybe they were on there, but they had to cut some time or something like that.
Maybe. It's
But
possible.
I don't know. But they definitely left out a couple of cameos that people would definitely would recognize right away and showing recognition for like past roles and stuff like that back in
Yeah.
the DC movies in the previous time frame and even shows.
Yeah, man. What
So
about Heath Ledger Joker, baby? Come
yeah,
on, man. Come on, man.
I think that's like I don't know. They could have then gone like heavy cameos onto the movie, but I guess he just wanted to like have some
Oh,
limitations with
bro.
it.
You know
They
what would
had
have
like
been
a
like a
bunch.
crazy deep cut?
Hmm.
Marlon Wayans as Robin, which was supposed to happen.
Really?
Yeah.
They're supposed to have that on
That was
there?
supposed to
Oh
be on
shit.
the fifth Batman film after Batman and Robin. It's called like Batman Triumphant or something like that. They were trying to get Robin Williams as Scarecrow or something like that,
Mm.
and they wanted to get yeah, they wanted to do all that stuff, man, and they wanted to get Marlon Wayans as Robin, which is pretty crazy.
As Robin. Yeah, I think. Yeah, there's a lot of cameos that they had to fit it like they had like towards like the ending of it, but there was also some cameos in the beginning of the movie with Wonder Woman making an appearance as well
Right, I
with
almost
Ben
forgot. What the
Affleck
hell's wrong with
also
me?
in the beginning,
And that was
and
a
then
fun
like
surprise. No
yeah,
spoilers on that.
and it like it kind of does like kind of goes to the as like where's like the rest of the superhero team, kind of like what the MCU is kind of having like why isn't more people showing up, like where's the other heroes, but like like they even had like Superman like showing up briefly on the TV. It's not, I don't think it was really Henry
No,
Cavill or anything like
originally he
that.
was supposed to be in that scene with Wonder Woman.
Oh yeah, but
Yeah, it was supposed to be a Justice League scene, but no.
they had to like do that whole.
Yeah, they had to do my boy Cavill dirty and just couldn't let him finish the role.
Yeah, I
You
mean
know,
that's just it is what it is. That's like one of the messiest thing when it comes like the DC.
didn't know a
The,
good thing when they had it, man.
yeah, that's just like what it is for the DC. The DC
DCU.
universe, the DCU universe, but like I think that's just one of those things that I did enjoy the cameos for that in the beginning. I did like how they did address like um, some of the Justice Leagues kind of being there. Of course, like it was cool to see Wonder Woman making an appearance, kind of doing her own thing, kind of helping out.
The whole
Like
thing with the lasso of truth.
yeah, with
I didn't want
freaking
to call anyone for help because I'm too insecure.
yeah.
Uh, I always wondered what sex felt like.
Oh yeah, with the lasso troop on
Yeah.
both of them. I thought that was very a nice,
I've never
funny touch to
experienced it,
it.
and I've always wondered what sex really feels like. I mean, hey,
I mean, well, it was cool seeing all that. It was cool seeing gals make an appearance, and it was
I
also cool
love
seeing
it.
Ben Affleck also making an appearance as well.
God, I'm gonna miss those two.
It's gonna be it was interesting. Technically, Ben Affleck kind of got replaced by George Clooney towards the end, but I digress with that. I digress with that. The other
Justice
thing-
for Batfleck.
I mean, maybe. I mean, well, they're starting a whole other thing down with the
Yeah, they could do
DC.
Elseworlds down the line. That is true. That
They,
is true.
but there was another thing. Didn't they recast Henry, the Flash's dad with somebody else? Like, 'cause
They did.
I
It was
remember,
originally Billy Crudup,
yeah, and it ended up being the
the
guy
guy
from
that
The
played
Office.
Dr. Manhattan in Watchmen. But this ended up being, that is the guy. Oh, this ended up being the actor I think that played the dude from Office Space.
Yeah, it was,
Yeah,
Ron
holy
Livingston.
shit! Right.
Yeah, it ended up
Damn.
being him. I was like, damn. I'm like, that's
Damn,
why, like,
dude.
when I
I didn't
seen
realize
him,
that when I watched it. That's
when I
crazy.
like, cause like when I seen it for the first time, I'm like, wait, like throughout the films, like, wasn't it like a different actor? I could have swore to God, like,
Yeah,
it
Billy
was a
Crudup.
different actor towards all that.
Damn, Ted from fucking Office Space, man.
So yeah,
Holy shit.
yeah. So that's why I was like, okay,
That's crazy, man.
cameos from them.
Oh, also too, man. Michael Shannon coming back as Zod. That was pretty cool to see.
It was cool to see that. Okay, so here's another thing. How did you feel with Supergirl and Zod?
Oh.
Like how their outcomes like throughout the battles and stuff. How did you feel with all that?
I thought she was cool. I thought she was a little underwritten, a little underutilized, so I didn't fully get invested in her. You know what I mean? And I feel like with 2.5 hours, you could have gave her a little more to do. But I like the introduction of her. I have been hearing that they are having talks to bring her back and do more with her. So I do hope that does go down because I do like her in the role, but I did think it left a little to be desired. I do think that she can kind of grow into it a little bit more and add her stamp to it a bit more and give that character a bit more juice. You know what I mean? But for what we got, I thought it was okay. But I do definitely think they definitely need to improve on that. And all the fun pop culture references, man. You know, Brad Pitt. Now I think they said that Brad Pitt was now the one that did. What movie was it? They said like Brad Pitt. He's the one that was in Top Gun, not Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise actually ended up doing Footloose, and I was like, oh shit, no Kevin Bacon on that. I was like, wow, the whole timeline was completely different. And then Eric Stoltz, Back to the Future reference right there, is Marty McFly. Where in real life, in our real world, Eric Stoltz, the actor, was originally supposed to be Marty McFly. They even shot the majority of the movie with him as Marty McFly, doing scenes with Christopher Lloyd and everything. They didn't think he was nailing it. They recast Michael J. Fox and reshot this whole most of the film, put out the version that we saw and know to love. So reshoots aren't always bad, Gen Z. Come on now. But and millennials, we're guilty of it too. But it's not always bad. But yeah, man. And I love how he is Marty McFly in that universe. Michael J. Fox didn't do shit, man. I was like, that's so crazy to me. Like how he's the guy. And I was like, that's a funny reference too for all those Back to the Future fans out there. But I was like, that's crazy to think if you ended up in a different multiverse where like everything's different and shit like that. Like, you know, like the Beatles never died and shit and they're still playing, like the Stones, but the Stones died and they're not playing or whatever. You know what I mean? Like that's like a crazy like mix up you could do, you know what I mean? Or Hendrix lived to be like 80, but Tupac, you know, ended up making rock music. Who knows? But it's like there's so many different ways with the multiverse, and that's always the fun that I have with these kind of movies, man. But overall, damn good time at the movie theater. Damn good time at your house when you get it on digital and DVD. I dug the movie. What are you gonna give it out of 10, man?
That is tough. I'll give it like a solid 7.
Damn, 2 7s back to back, baby.
I would say for sure solid 7 because it wasn't like, oh my god, it was like crazy, but I still had like an enjoyable time watching it. It has its had its nitpicks and all that, and like you know, it obviously like with like my previous rating, like it could easily go up. It's a show. It's like still not definitive. But with the Flash, with this one, it's kind of like it is set in stone. Everything is to be said with this one. There's no surprises. It is what it is. I'm going to keep it at like a solid 7. I had an okay time with it. I did enjoy my time with some with the things that they had going for it. There's obviously the nitpicks that I had with it. So for sure, that's going to be it for me. But what about you? What do you give it?
I'm going to do one of those weird ones. 7.75.
7.7. What the fuck? Dude,
I enjoyed the hell out of the movie. If it wasn't for the CGI and the third act letting me down, this would have been an awesome, excellent movie. So other than those two main elements really holding back the film, other than I think Supergirl being a little underwritten, I really don't have too many other complaints with the film. I thought it was perfectly paced. I thought the Barry Allen Flash version that Ezra Miller brought to life finally came together. The storyline to me was really, really strong. Loved all the chemistry with the characters and the actors, the pop culture references, and all the cameos all worked and made sense and worked for the film and served the story. Thought Andy Muschietti did a hell of a job directing this thing. You know, love the Danny Elfman score coming back into play. Michael Keaton came back and nailed it. It's a fun time, man. But that CGI, garbage. Third act, very formulaic and very, very underwritten. So, wasn't for those two elements, this would have been a kick-ass movie, man. But let us know what you think about The Flash, man. Do you think it's the best thing, the second coming since Christ? Do you think it's somewhere in between? Do you think it's complete dog shit? I want to hear from y'all in those comments. Let us know what you think about it. We would love to discuss it with you. Doesn't matter how positive or negative your opinions are. It's all welcome around here as long as you're respectful. We love getting into all of that goodness. And this is a part of our long-form show, the Phantom Frequency Show as well. Make sure you hop on over to our channel. Check out the whole episode. We talk about other topics and everything mixed into multiple reviews and all that good jazz. So if you like that short-form content, you can get it here. And if you want to get the link to the long-form stuff, this is your avenue over to that intersection, y'all. And we appreciate each and every one of you for listening and watching this latest episode. Hopefully, we're going to get these as consistent as we have been doing for the most part, trying to get at least 2 to 3 of these long-form podcast episodes on the channel every month. So make sure you stay in tune on that. Make sure you download all the audio over there on the podcast feeds, everything like that. And any parting words before we go ahead and peace out for the night? It is getting late.
It is getting late. Just be mentally and physically strong, and you know that's how you do what I am.
Hell yeah. We love you. We appreciate you. Make sure you stay tuned. Don't sleep unless it's past your bedtime. Get to sleep, kids.
Yeah.
All right, then. Peace out, y'all.